Hello everyone, Jason from Truth Behind the Magic here, back at it once again. This is going to be a big one. I've been thinking about this for a while, getting some information on it, that kind of thing. And this is something that I really wanted to talk about because I think a lot of people come in with the misconception that traditions are somewhere in training. They're going to sit you down and give you 80 reasons why you can get fired from the company. And that is just not the case. They will discuss some of it with you, traditions and that sort of thing, especially ones that deal with making the company look bad. Those are the ones that they really try to hammer home, as well as like workplace harassment, that kind of thing. But other than that, a lot of it comes down to your location and your role, and a lot of it may never be told to you anywhere in training. So that's why I wanted to go over some of this from my time in quick service, bell services, and attractions, so a pretty good array there of options and experiences, and just kind of go over the attendance system, point system, as well as terminable offenses. And of course, if you've seen anything about Disney, you know they don't technically fire people, they call it getting termed. Somehow that's nicer, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it honestly sounds worse, in my opinion, even more crazy. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. I'll go through multiple topics here. Hopefully it'll be interesting at least. And I just kind of want to give a little disclaimer that some of this was verified through the college program handbook, which I was actually able to find online, just publicly posted. So Disney, if you see this, I'm not going in over anything that's company secrets. Please don't sue me, please. And anyway, I'm just doing this to try to help people. I want to set you up for success. So yeah, we'll get right into this. The first thing here is attendance points, and Disney is not the only company who does this. Actually, the company I'm working for right now has a very similar system. I think someone from Disney set up a lot of the stuff in this company that I work for now. It's a big tourism company. I can't verify that, but a lot of it is very similar. But anyway, there are multiple companies that do this, especially bigger ones. And it's a point system with a record card that is based off of a time clock, a digital time clock, and it just automatically does this stuff, and I'll just kind of go over it here. So if you clock out early or late, and some people might be like, clocking in early, why would they get you for that? You can clock in up to 5 minutes early, 5 minutes late. But if you're clocking in more than 5 minutes early, they just figure that you're taking their money and probably just sitting in the break room, which is accurate, I would say. So it makes sense. It'll be half a point for that. It'll be a full point if you're clocking in more than 2 hours after your start time or you call out. If you do a no-call, no-show, which is like the worst of the worst, that's 2 points. And one big thing is if you get there late, talk to a leader, especially if you take the buses, because they will oftentimes remove that from your record. I've had it happen a few times. I've also had it where they didn't do it. I don't know if they're technically, like, if it's a rule that they're supposed to, but they usually will. So go just speak to one of your leaders that you're like a direct report to. If the bus broke down or something like that, they will change that for you most likely. Also, points, like the full points for missing a day, those can be reduced with a doctor's note. I believe the policy is it's like up to 4 days or 3 days, and they'll condense it down into 1 point. It's kind of weird that you still get a point for that, but it's better than 4. But also, if you're on the college program, it's not easy because you don't have a doctor set up, that kind of thing. I want to say I have like 3.5 points on my record. They're all from my first program. There was one time I was sick for a couple days, and I'm pretty sure it was COVID, even though it was 2019, because if it would have been going around anywhere in late 2019, it would have been Disney. But yeah, I had a couple days from that, and I had a few half points, like I said, from the buses. There may have been a time or two where a leader wouldn't change it, but also if I was late and it was my fault, I would just take the points, because that was the right thing to do in my opinion, but that really didn't happen, maybe once or twice. Now, when it comes to reprimands, there are two types of reprimands. The first one I'll go over here is what is called attendance reprimands, and it's directly related to the point system. I would say this is the less critical of the reprimands. It can still come back to haunt you, but it's not usually like an immediately termable thing. And the system here is pretty simple. You get a reprimand if it's 3 points in 30 days, 6 points in 90 days, 9 points in 180 days, or 12 points in 365 days. And they kind of set it back to where each time you reach that threshold, obviously they give you another chance before you get another reprimand, but they also kind of tighten the window a little bit. And from what I could tell in the handbook, it says that termination occurs at 4 attendance reprimands. I was thinking it was 3 back in 2019, but I could be wrong. Also, if you go more than 10 days without working a shift, that will also cause termination. And I know that was a big reason they used to have it where you couldn't give away shifts without leader approval if you were on the program, because people just wouldn't work. But yeah, I guess that's something that's probably been in place for quite a while. I know it was back in 2019 that you can't work, you can't go more than 10 days without working. But yeah, attendance reprimands, it really is difficult to get to the point where you get termed. And also, going back to the 3 points in 90 days, 6 points or 3 points in 30 days, 6 points in 90, that thing, that will reset once you reach the point where you have not gotten another reprimand. Like if you have the 3 points in 90 days, or I cannot talk right now, I apologize. If you have the 3 points in 30 days and then you make it to 90 days, you make it 90 days past that initial reprimand, those 3 points won't matter anymore. Now, if we're talking about an entire year, then it will, but you just won't have to worry about getting a reprimand for 6 points in 90 days if it was 90 days before when you had the other 3 points. So, and I believe if you go an entire year without getting any points or reprimands, they essentially don't mean anything anymore. They will still be on your record, but they're not really levied against you unless you have like 20 points or something in 2 years. They might look at that, but like I said, I think I have like 3.5, and that's actually pretty good. I've seen people who get up 10 plus during a program, and I really don't see how that's possible. That was a 7-month program, and I had, like I said, 3.5, and 2 of that was because what was probably COVID, so you pretty much do have to be slacking to get that many. But yeah, that's pretty much attendance reprimands in the point system. You'll be fine. It's not that big of a deal. I know I talked about the bus system in a recent video. Just give yourself plenty of time, especially when you don't really know how to get to the location that well. And if you are late because you got lost in the park on one of your early days, they probably will reset that for you, depending on who the leader is. But yeah, going from attendance reprimands, we get into safety reprimands. And the college program guidebook calls them judgment reprimands. I guess that's because technically you could get one in a non-safety critical role, which I have seen that happen in non-safety critical roles, so I guess the official term is a judgment reprimand. But if you were in safety critical, they're probably going to call it a safety reprimand. That's what they called it at Toy Story Mania. And those things were handed out there quite a lot. So it is, I would say this is something to keep in mind a lot more than the attendance reprimands, because as long as you're getting there on schedule, those aren't really a big deal. But these ones you do have to think about. And as long as you are doing a good job, it really won't come into play. And as long as you're staying within rules and regulations, it won't come into play. So the guidebook officially lists it as 3 judgment reprimands and you're termed. I have not heard that before. I guess that's the official policy, because what they would do at Toy Story Mania, and maybe they were just being nice here, but if you got 2 safety reprimands, they would recast you and do a different role instead of terming you. I guess that was them saying, we can't have you here, but we at least won't fire you yet. And I knew of at least 3 or 4 people there that had to get recast because they got 2 of those quick, and they just put them, I'm going to be honest, you usually get put into quick service because that's what needs people. So that's really the case with any role. I see people saying, like, I don't like working here or whatever, can I get recast? And the answer is usually no, but if you do, you're pretty much going to quick service, so you might as well get prepared for that. That could vary based on the role or location. I don't really know enough. Like I said, that official 3 rule policy, I have never seen that. I have honestly either seen people get warned or just have one incident that was so bad that they got fired. This was in non-safety critical. But yeah, I guess technically if they give you that many chances, then it's 3 before you'll get termed, or 2 to get recast, depending on if that's company-wide or just Toy Story Mania. And yeah, a bad enough incident can cause instant termination, which makes sense. That's regardless of the 3 reprimand threshold. And I have a few of these here that I have seen personally. Cursing on stage when I was working quick service. There was a college programmer who said something inappropriate without any guests around. It was just another cast member that was around, and they reported him. Which I get that's company policy, but I don't think anyone there was... Well, I stayed out of the situation, but I knew a lot of people that were not happy about that, but it is against the rules, so if you value your program, you better follow them to a T, I'm gonna be honest. And then there was a culinary that actually cussed me out on stage in front of guests, because he was basically a man-child and he hadn't been doing his job correctly, and I asked where all these orders were that I had put in, and he claimed that they hadn't been put in, even though I had literally turned around and told him how many we were waiting on. But anyway, I heard he got fired. He moved to a different location in Epcot, and I heard he got fired within like a couple of months after that, and that factored into it, because he had actually been... The head chef there told me they had complaints before, so I think it just got to where they were out of chances for him. They should have been out of chances before that, but at least he's gone. Speaking inappropriately to especially college program people, but really just anyone who works there, and especially women, that is another thing that I have seen people get termed for. I've known at least 2 people personally that it happened to. Blaze has told me about a couple other people at his location making sexual comments and things like that to women on the college program, and that you're going to be instantly gone for that as well. I can guarantee you that. One that I saw was a couple people who asked to get into the lightning lane without a pass on one of their off days. And this was another one similar to the one who was cussing on stage at Riverside, and there was not even any guests around. I mean, this is one of the dumber things that I've heard happen, but these people two cast members that worked at my attraction on their day off went to the lightning lane. They actually went in the normal lane. They didn't ask up front to be let into the lightning lane, which that was probably mistake number one. Once they were already in the standby queue, they asked someone working like one of basically like the queue control positions where you just stand there and watch to make sure no one jumps into the lightning lane. They asked if they could be let into the lightning lane, and she told leaders about it. And that was another one where people were like, was it really necessary to tell them? But once again, like I said, if you value your program or your employment there, don't do anything that might get you in trouble, regardless of if guests are around or anything like that. I also heard rumors that they had issues prior to that at the location, which I don't know if that's true or not. I think they just termed them on the spot for this. I honestly am not sure exactly what happened there, but another one is using your phone on stage, especially in a safety critical role. Disney policy just generally is that you shouldn't have your phone out on stage. Now, I've had times in quick service and bell services, if I was just walking around the dining room or helping a guest at the front desk. I mean, I wasn't front desk, but I just mean in the general area, helping them with a query about something. I would pull my phone out. At that point, it's just a tool. I think if you're showing them a map of property or something like that, it's okay if you're not safety critical. I don't know what the official company policy would be on that, but I think they really want you to help the guests and not have to escalate the situation to a higher position if possible. So I really don't think they would care. Like, I remember at Riverside, I showed someone on the map how to get to French Quarter from there walking, and that was the best way to do that. It would have been pretty confusing otherwise. But yeah, safety critical, no way. There was someone at Toy Story Mania who we had closed down one of the tracks for the night. No guests were being led over there. There were not even... Yeah, there was no one in queue. Most of the cast members had left the area. Apparently there was one other person there who saw him, because one person had to stand there on the main console till the end of the night to be officially told to shut down. So you weren't like actually operating the ride or anything, but he had his phone out there. Someone saw it and he immediately was termed for that. There was a lot of crazy stuff that happened at that location, because that was another controversial one where there were a few people that said who reported him for this. There weren't even any guests around, but I agree with that one. If you're in a safety critical role, then you better not have your phone out. And the worst, the last example I have here, the dumbest of the dumbest things that I've ever heard employees do that I've personally known about. And I'll kind of try to tell the story here, but just to kind of sum it up, getting termed for leaving work for 2 hours on your lunch break to let people into Magic Kingdom with your tickets. Not like your personal ticket, but your guest tickets. There were a couple people, I won't even say the location or role, because I don't want to get that bad with it, but they had an hour-long lunch break. They had family or friends that were coming into Magic Kingdom. Actually, only one of them did. The other person just went with them as, like, a friend to go with them. But they both left work at the same location on their lunch break. It was a slow day. I wasn't even there. This was actually after I left, but I was told about it after my program ended. They left on their lunch break, went to Magic Kingdom, didn't show up to work until 2 or 3 hours later. Like, a leader came around and was like, where are these people? Are they supposed to be here? And they indeed were supposed to be there, but they were nowhere to be found. They eventually showed up and were confronted. Their stories didn't match, and they eventually found out the whole situation. They actually went is deep is getting security footage from the TTC, the Magic Kingdom parking lot, to see them going through the Magic Kingdom gate, parking, getting out in costume. They got out in the parking lot in costume and went up to the front of the park in costume, and let people in. Now, if you know Disney at all, you know that getting to the Magic Kingdom is a process. I would not even, an hour, much less the time getting back, even getting there to the front of the park with driving, parking, taking a monorail or boat to get over there, the ferry boat. That's good time. Like, I would be happy with that. If I left Flamingo, for example, and got in actually inside the Main Street within an hour, I would be happy with that. But yeah, they left, had like a 12 to 15 minute drive just to get to the parking lot. Well, probably not 15, probably 10 to 12. And then had to take a ferry boat or monorail. Well, actually getting from the parking lot to where you can even do that, that's going to take you 15, probably at least, if you're very mobile. You may have to wait on a boat. You may have to wait on the monorail. And I know this story has gotten kind of long, but I just found it so funny that I have to expound on it. The boat ride is probably a good 10 minutes. I don't know the exact length of that. The monorail is quicker, but usually has a longer wait because it's obviously lower capacity. So yeah, like I said, you're talking probably an hour to get up there and actually get signed in, get the other people in with your tickets. Then you have to complete the entire process over. You have to leave the front of the park, get on a ferry boat or monorail, go back, either walk to your car or take a tram, and then drive all the way back to work. And they thought they could do that in an hour with no one noticing somehow. Not possible. My best time getting to Magic Kingdom, absolute best, that's like if you show up perfectly, get parked relatively close, and a parking tram comes quickly, you decide not to walk and you just take the tram because it's there. I usually like to walk up just to get even more exercise, but my best time was probably 30 to 40 minutes. It's hard to get much better than that when you factor in you have to drive 15 minutes from Flamingo just to get to the parking lot. And that would be if you walked up to the monorail and it was already parked there and about to leave and you got on. But yeah, thinking you could do that in an hour lunch break is just astounding. But yeah, those are just some of the reasons that I personally have seen for getting termed. And I think that goes beyond even a judgment reprimand. That's just doing something so dumb that they have to fire you. There's no other option when you do something like that. I think they actually only fired one of the people, the one that just went along with it. I believe they let stay there, which I find that interesting as well. But the other one, there may have been, I think there were kind of some lingering issues there already. But like I said, that is so bad that you're gone. That is a on-the-spot terming right there. Guaranteed. Well, actually, it wasn't on the spot, but I shouldn't say that quite literally on the spot, because they did like a month-long or 2-month-long investigation. That's when they found the footage from the TTC and all that, and then they did it. But once they could confirm that it was indeed not whatever story they had given, that was it. But yeah, sorry for the long story. I'm just trying to have some entertainment there because I love that story. It's just so funny. But anyway, kind of just to recap, we went over attendance points, half a point for being late or early, more than 5 minutes, a full point for calling out or clocking in 2 hours late, 2 2 points for no call, no show. We went over the attendance reprimands, 3 points in 30 days, 6 points in 90 days, 9 points in 180 days, 12 points in 365 days. That'll give you an attendance reprimand. And I also will mention, since I'm talking about this again, getting a reprimand for 3 points in 30 days is no different than getting one for 12 points in a full year. And that's why, like I was saying earlier, when I had to kind of deduce it mathematically, they really kind of try to give you a better chance to not get that reprimand if it's going all the way up to a year. They give you to where it's not quite as many or quite as few points in a year. We went over the safety reprimands, or judgment reprimands as they call them. Like I said, if you're doing your job correctly in a safety critical role, it's not going to be an issue. And even if you get one, usually you're not immediately termed. Worst case scenarios, usually getting recast to a different role. And then, yeah, just going over some of the experiences I've had. But yeah, hopefully this sheds some light on the fact that there are a lot of things you can get termed for. Like I said at the beginning, things that make the company look bad, like posting publicly on social media, negative things, filming backstage, that's a big one. You'll be gone immediately if you film backstage. I remember there was a guy a few years ago who was drinking water out of the public fountains, like not drinking fountains, but just fountains at like Disney Springs, that kind of place. He got termed and he was all upset and sad about it. I'm like, you're a cast member and you were posting videos so you could get a few views about something that is just ridiculous and clearly against normal rules and regulations there, and you're going to be upset about it. You put your position in jeopardy. I think he actually got trespassed as well. So yeah, follow the rules. Don't make the company look bad publicly. Those are the big things. Conduct yourself well on stage and off stage, obviously. And you'll be good. You'll be good to go. Don't worry too much about the attendance reprimands unless it's just becoming a serious problem that you're like calling out all the time or late every day. Otherwise, you'll probably have a low point count if you get any at all. But other than that, hopefully this video helped you somehow. Helped you to get a better grasp of the system that they have there. And I hope you have a great program if you are about to start the program. And I'll see you next time.